Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the February 10th, 2025 Board of Commissioners meeting for Haverford Township. Before we begin, I'd like to make a note that the Board of Commissioners met in executive session this evening to discuss personnel and legal matters. We'll begin the meeting with a roll call. Mr. Berman, can you please take the roll?
Commissioner Gondek.
Present.
Commissioner Forstey-Grupp.
Here.
Commissioner Cavender is absent. Sorry. Commissioner Holmes.
Here.
Commissioner Quinn.
Here.
Commissioner Hart.
Here.
Commissioner McCullum.
Here.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Here.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Here. Thank you. I ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by our Police Chief, John Viola.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you. We now move on to this evening's agenda. We'll begin by hearing a reading of a proclamation by Vice President Kevin McCluskey.
Thank you. This is a proclamation we've made annually in celebration of recognizing February as Black History Month. Whereas in 1926, Dr. Carter G. Woodson established a special observance in February to honor the heritage and achievements of African Americans, laying the foundation for what would become a national celebration. And whereas Black History Month was officially recognized in the United States in 1976 during the bicentennial celebration when President Gerald Ford called on Americans to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every area of endeavor throughout our history. And whereas, since 1976, Black History Month has continued as a national observance, celebrating the triumphs, struggles, and contributions of African Americans to the progress of our nation and local communities. And whereas, Black individuals have made invaluable contributions to our nation in a variety of fields: scientists, inventors, educators, farmers, homemakers, explorers, civil rights leaders, public servants, and countless others, enriching every aspect of American life. And whereas historical records confirm that Black individuals played a crucial role in shaping and developing Haverford Township, making significant contributions to its establishment as a settlement, throughout the township's history, the achievements and sacrifices of the Black community have had a lasting impact, contributing to the cultural, social, and economic growth of the township. And whereas the Black community in Haverford Township continues to play a vital role in shaping the township's diverse, vibrant, and evolving identity, through resilience, perseverance, and meaningful contributions, the Black community remains an integral part of Haverford Township's history and future. And whereas, despite enduring challenges such as systematic inequalities and racial disparities, the Black community, both in Haverford Township and across the nation, continues to inspire progress and justice, contributing to the advancement of society. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Township of Haverford, Delaware County, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, hereby recognizes February 2025 as Black History Month and celebrates the contributions of the Black community to our township, our Commonwealth, and our nation. And be it further resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Haverford Township encourages all residents to reflect on the lessons of the past, acknowledge the histories of those who helped build our community, deepen their understanding, and celebrate the rich cultural heritage and ongoing achievement of African Americans. Proclaimed this 10th day of February 2025, Township of Haverford, Judy Trombetta, President.
Thank you. Well done. So we'll continue this evening's meeting with a presentation of a proclamation by Commissioner Larry Holmes. We're pleased to be joined this evening by Mr. Leanne Smith, as well as his family, and our esteemed guest, of course, State Representative Greg Vitale, our school district superintendent, Dr. Maureen Rushi, and our Haverford High School principal, Mr. Pete Donaghy. Commissioner Holmes, the floor is yours.
Leon Smith. And Representative Vitale, if you join me as well. Madam President, Mr. Vice President, colleagues, Madam Superintendent Rushi, Principal, yes, Mr. Principal, Representative Vitale, constituents, neighbors, friends, and family. William Ward said, "The good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, but the great teacher inspires." we are here tonight to honor an inspirational teacher. When I found out about Leon Smith's achievement and recognition, I immediately hoped to be the one to proclaim his accomplishment here at one of our meetings, and I asked President Trombetta if I could have the privilege of introducing Leon Smith and reading his proclamation. The reason is this: I am the son of a school teacher, and I am the grandson of a school teacher. And if I had one half their courage, I'd have become a teacher myself. But I didn't, and the only way I could ever think to make that up to them was to conduct myself in my private life as an attorney and in my public life as an elected official in such a way as to make them proud of me. And so when we see each other again, I won't seem so small in their company or in your company, Mr. Smith. Teaching is an incredible act of optimism. That is not a modern thought. Confucius said, if you have to plan for a year, plant a seed. If you have to plan for a decade, plant a tree. But if you have to plan for 100 years, teach the people. And it isn't just an optimistic act, it is an altruistic act. Like a candle burns itself away, lighting the way for others, a teacher consumes himself, illuminating the way for others. That is the lifelong commitment a teacher makes. That is the commitment that Leon Smith made. Tonight is the first time that I've met this Leon Smith. But my life has been touched and shaped and formed by other Mr. Smiths: Mrs. Holmes, Mrs. Corcoran, Sister Frances Rose, Mrs. Trickolo, Helen Taylor, Patricia Jennings, Sister Augustine, Joe Whalen, Dottie Brown, Father Davis, Doris Brogan, Dick Turkington, Mr. Valente, Dr. Scott, have all made a difference in my life and are why I am standing here, having the opportunity, having the words, and having the courage to honor you this evening. And someday, years from now, I promise you that in a room like this, an elected official will stand before their town and they will proclaim the accomplishments of that year's Teacher of the Year. In that speech, that elected official will say, I've only met the honoree this evening, but I was taught by Leon Smith, and that made all the difference. So if I may, whereas outstanding educators are the foundation of a strong community by empowering, mentoring, and inspiring students to reach their full potential, and whereas Leon Smith, a Haverford High School educator, has been named the 2025 Pennsylvania Teacher of the Year by the Pennsylvania Department of Education, and recognizing his commitment to his students, his colleagues, and the educational community. And whereas, chosen from a pool of 660 distinguished nominees, this prestigious honor is a testament to Leon Smith's dedication and impact, bringing immense pride to Haverford Township and reaffirming our community's commitment to academic excellence and the transformative power of education. And whereas Leon Smith has served the Haverford Township School District for 22 years, teaching 9th grade honors and advanced placement social studies, as well as the 10th through 12th grade African American studies. And whereas beyond the classroom, Leon Smith serves as the African American Cultural Enrichment Advisor, as the freshman boys basketball coach, and as a mentor, working tirelessly to support student development, both academically and personally. And whereas Leon Smith has played a pivotal role in professional development for the district, providing training on culturally relevant teaching, growth mindset, effective lesson strategies, and belonging initiatives. Whereas Leon Smith supported new and future educators by launching the Grow Your Own Teacher program at Haverford Township School District, and serving as a senior fellow for Teach Plus, advocating for policies that promote educational equity, opportunity, and student success. And whereas, as Pennsylvania's Teacher of the Year, Leon Smith will travel across the state to collaborate with fellow educators and share his expertise to enhance student success, and will proudly represent the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and the Township of Haverford in the National Teacher of the Year competition. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Haverford Township Board of Commissioners in Delaware County, Pennsylvania, proudly recognizes and commends Leon Smith on being named 2025 Pennsylvania Teacher of the Year. And be it further resolved that the Haverford Township Board of Commissioners, on behalf of the entire township and all his students, expresses our deepest gratitude for his outstanding achievements and dedication to the students and families of Haverford Township. Thank you, Mr. Smith. I will now turn the floor over to Representative Vitale.
Thanks, Larry, and thanks, Judy. I really appreciate the fact that you included me in this. As members of the board know, I don't attend these meetings too often, hardly ever actually, but I like to pick my spots, and tonight's one of those spots. The way the Pennsylvania House of Representatives honors important achievements is by a citation, and I do have a citation for you recognizing you're being Pennsylvania Teacher of the Year for 2025. I'm not going to read it, but it's what is important to me is the way, when you invited me to your class, the way I saw you interact with your students, the respect they had for you, the rapport you had with them. It's just a wonderful thing to see. People in government, and I think many people just appreciate the fact that the most important building block of a community is its public school system. And we have such a great community. We have such a community that I've watched flourish in my lifetime. And something like having one of our own named Teacher of the Year just enhances that. It just makes the community this much better. It just brings prestige. It just makes this a place where people want to be and raise their families. So really proud and happy to present this citation to you.
So we'll take a brief recess to take some pictures. Thank you. Thank you so much for your patience. We'll continue with our meeting now with Citizens Forum. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to share their remarks. We'll begin with individuals who signed up in advance, and during this portion, we also welcome comments on agenda items. If you wish to speak on a matter not on tonight's agenda, you'll have the opportunity to do so during the second Citizens Forum later this meeting. Please use your 3 minutes to make your remarks. While this is not a question and answer session, you are encouraged to mention any specific questions you have. Commissioners will have the opportunity to respond to any matters raised after all the speakers have been heard. For follow-up on individual concerns, I encourage you to connect with your commissioner or township manager at the conclusion of this meeting, or to reach out to them via email or phone. With that, I'll now invite our first registered speaker to the podium. When coming to the podium, please state your name and address and begin your remarks. We had 2 registered speakers this evening. First, Mr. Grubb, Kristen Grubb. Please join us.
Hi there. I prepared a little fact sheet for each member of the board and anyone else who's interested. Would you prefer to have it now or after my comment? Okay.
Thank you.
It was out of, it was, thank you. I just.
Hi, my name is Tristan Grupp. I'm from 107 Landaff Road. I've been in Haverford Township since 1996 when my parents bought our house, so I've grown up here. As a disclaimer, my mom is a member of the Board of Commissioners, Cheryl Percy Grupp. My opinions are completely independent. I am here to you today as a planner, data scientist, and resident. I have a degree in city planning, and a data science degree as well. One of the first things that we learn in planning school in our quantitative methods class is a population projection. And the reason for that is that the population projection is the most critical data point when making future land use planning decisions. Future land use planning is about the direction of growth of a community, and anticipating that growth requires a population projection. So why are planners so concerned about a population projection? It's for that exact reason. Land use planning and future community growth is the most essential tool of planning. The main policy for growth is this future land use planning. Growth is important for future residents. We want multi-generational families in our neighborhood, in our community. We want people to be able to move back home after they leave high school, go on to the next phase of life. We want housing options for people to come back. There are two statistics that I find a little bit troubling. There was a 25% drop between 2012 and 2022 of residents who had moved in the last 3 to 4 years in Haverford Township. And in that same period, in that decade, housing costs outpaced income gains by 22-fold. So there is a responsibility to add new housing for future residents, which includes the children of people who live here today. There's also a need for growth for current residents. Changing life circumstances means that people need diverse housing options. Seniors want to age in place, and homes that have first floor living, say on the first floor you can access your home or take an elevator up, is very important for seniors who want to age in place. But it's also very important for our tax base. Cost of services will rise, that's an inevitability. There's inflation, there's higher expectations of service provision, cost of services rise. If there is not growth, those costs are borne among the same population and the same group of businesses. If there is growth, they're dispersed. So growth is essential for current residents because it distributes rather than concentrates tax burden. In the 2022 draft comprehensive plan, there's a population projection of 50,078 by 2040. Last year, we had 50,465 people. There were 400 more people last year than the original plan said there would be in 2040. This means that the future land use map in the 2022 draft had some problems. Doesn't mean that it wasn't perfect, but it definitely means that it didn't consider future growth. And as I mentioned before, the first thing you learn in planning school is a population projection. We need residential and commercial growth. 1 acre of land in Haverford Township generates 4.5 times, 1 acre of commercial land in Lower Merion generates 4.5 times the tax revenue as 1 acre in Haverford Township. This is a matter of economic planning and planning for growth. There's a real opportunity ahead of us. There was an article published in January that Philadelphia is going to be the hottest housing market, one of the hottest housing markets in the country. I think it was the 5th. Haverford Township also has one of the lowest vacancy rates in the state. I think it's 3%, compared to Radnor, which is 6%, and Lower Merion, which is 4%. People want to live in Haverford Township and do business here. There's a real opportunity to take advantage of this hot real estate market, high desirability for Haverford Township. And so I come to you today to talk about growth and the future land use map, and to consider growth in that future land use map. Smart growth can be a great way to develop our community and set us up well for the future. And I'll finish with this and say, change is inevitable, but it's better to choose the change that we want than be saddled with the change that's thrown upon us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grapp. Our next registered speaker is Diane Drentlaw. Ms. Drentlaw.
Hi, Commissioners. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm Diane Drentlaw, and I live at 738 Rugby Road in the 5th Ward. And one of the tasks that I have is chairing a standing committee of the Brynford Civic Association on township governance. And so with that in mind, I wanted to come tonight to talk about an issue that is one that the board has considered in the past, which is about 700 Haverford Road. But in particular, I think that it's important first to say that over the past couple of years, there's a real sense of optimism, I think, and leadership that's been shown by the board in terms of initiatives by the township, such as the Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Plan, the township-wide Qualified Safety Action Plan, the PennDOT Haverford Road Safety Corridor Improvement, the road diet, and of course, various drafts of the comprehensive plan that have been underway for a number of years. And I think that the township benefits in being a better place to live and work, and I applaud the efforts of the Board of Commissioners in looking at these important initiatives and moving them forward. And it's a direction that the vast majority of residents can support. But while looking at the governing bodies, the recent, and I say recent in that it's gone on now for more than a year, the Zoning Hearing Board took up the issue of an applicant's request for relief for variances at 700 Haverford Road. And the applicant in this case wanted to add a convenience store to an already cramped gasoline station, service station at 700 Haverford Road. It's a particularly sensitive location situated along the very heavily trafficked corridor at a deeply flawed, I guess you might say, 5-way intersection stretch. It's one of the only access points as well to the Haverford station of the Norristown high-speed line, and access to one of the few township designated bike routes. The Zoning Hearing Board already approved this application once with no conditions related to motorist, pedestrian, and bicyclist safety, despite the sensitive location. Upon appeal, this decision was remanded back to the Zoning Hearing Board. 4 hearings were held, and the most recent hearing was January 30th, at which literally several dozen citizens, residents, spoke about the issues that were of very great importance to them, and they had a chance to voice their objections. And I would really urge each of you, if you have the time, to please take a look at the YouTube video of that Zoning Hearing Board, and I think it will be important for you to hear directly from the residents about their objections and what they experience at this location and why they are objecting to it. What really strikes me is that the addition of a convenience store at this location seems just such a contradiction to the goals that the township and the Board of Commissioners has laid out in these various initiatives mentioned. The safety plan, the Haverford Road improvement corridor, the draft comprehensive plan.
Ms.
And
Trentlow,
for
can I
these
ask you to
reasons-
please just wrap up?
Okay, for these
Certainly,
reasons.
thank you.
Reducing deaths and serious injury is part of an initiative of the township. This intersection is a very dangerous one, and you'll hear reports about this. For many reasons, the safety of this area is one in which the applicant's own traffic expert has said that that activity at that location is going to increase by over 100% during certain peak hours. So it would really make it difficult to square this going forward without the Board of Commissioners taking this opportunity and I would say responsibility to look again at this case, because it is really flying in the face of the initiatives of safety for the residents and all those who travel through this corridor. The Board of Commissioners can and has a right to have something to say about this and to intervene. This period is open yet for you to do so, and I would really urge you to act and to look at how this squares with what the future of the township is through these initiatives and the very important work that you're doing, because there's a conflict here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now open the floor to anybody else in the audience who'd like to speak on an agenda item this evening. I'll start with the left-hand side. Anybody on the left-hand side who'd like to speak on an agenda item? But on the right side, anybody? Very well. I now open the floor to any of my colleagues who wish to address any of the remarks or questions brought before us during Citizens Forum. Does anybody wish to speak or respond?
I do think that while the zoning hearing board has not rendered a decision, that the case has been closed, that they're not taking any more testimony. So I don't think there is an opportunity for us to intervene at this point.
Thank you. Does anybody else have anything to say? All right, moving on in the agenda. At this time, I'd like to invite our Chair of the Commissioners' Fire Committee, Commissioner Brian Gondek, to share this month's Bureau of Fire update. Commissioner Gondek, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I actually have 2 months to report. There's a slight delay in getting the December numbers, so I just will report them both tonight. The Haverford Township Bureau of Fire report for December of 2024. We had total incidents of 70, 55 township incidents, and 15 out-of-township mutual aid incidents. The average personnel per call was 18. We had 974 personnel hours committed to incidents and 304 personnel hours committed to training. And the Bureau of Fire provided mutual aid to 5 working fires within Delaware County in December. For January of 2025, we had total incidents of 75, 49 were township incidents, and 26 out-of-township mutual aid incidents. Average personnel per call, 18. 985 personnel hours committed to incidents and 531 personnel hours committed to training. The Haverford Township Bureau of Fire provided mutual aid to 7 working fires within Delaware County and 1 working fire within Lower Merion Township. I also like to report that on January 21st, the Bureau of Fire held their yearly awards night, where 32 different members received recognition for their continuing fire service education. Of specific note, Kevin Kramer and Thomas Harant of Bon Air Fire Company received recognition for 50 years of dedicated service to Haverford Township. And that is the report.
Wonderful, thank you. Are there any questions or comments related to the report provided by Commissioner Gondek? Hearing none, we'll move on to our Township Auditor update. This time I invite our Township Auditor, Ross Anderson, to join us. The floor is yours.
All right. Go Birds. Congratulations, Connie Quinn, and the Eagles scoring 40 points on your 40th birthday. It's pretty awesome. We do gotta say, productivity was definitely down today across the city, but coffee use is definitely up, as is Red Bull. But anyways, I've reviewed the warrants and expenditures for this meetings. I found no irregularities, and all my questions were answered to my satisfaction. Although I did notice early tonight with Mr. Holmes, I say President Trombetta, it kind of started out President Trump. It was like, you can mistake those two.
I don't
Thank
think
you.
anybody got it wrong.
Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on this board for Mr. Anderson? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to our township manager update. Mr. Berman, would you provide your update?
I wanted to thank the police department for the work last night, and also really to all of our residents for celebrating safely following the Eagles' victory. There was one very serious vehicle accident last night. The Brookline, Manoa, and Oakmont Fire Companies responded, and while we were all celebrating, they were out serving the community, and we are very appreciative to those volunteers. We're also appreciative to Narberth Ambulance and again to the Haverford Township Police Department. And I have to tell you that there's a winter weather advisory for 2 to 4 inches of snow starting tomorrow afternoon. We'd ask, we're ready. We have salt. We'll be treating the roads. Crews are at the ready, and we'd ask you to stay off the roads if you could. That really helps us get through and get the roads treated before all that snow gets packed down and freezes. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments related to Township Manager Berman's update? Hearing none, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. I'll now entertain a motion.
I move to approve the reorganization meeting minutes of January 6th.
Second.
Heard a motion and a second. Are there any questions, comments, additions, deletions related to these minutes? Hearing none, Mr. Berman, please take the roll.
Commissioner Gondek?
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty-Grupp?
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes?
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn?
Yes.
Commissioner Hart?
Yes.
Commissioner McCollum?
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey?
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta?
Yes. Motion carries. I'll now entertain a motion for the January 13th meeting minutes.
I move to approve the meeting minutes of January 13th.
Second.
Heard a motion and a second. Are there any questions, comments, additions, or deletions requested by my colleagues to these meeting minutes? Hearing none, Mr. Berman, please take the roll.
Commissioner Gondek?
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty-Grupp?
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes?
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn?
Yes.
Commissioner Hart?
Yes.
Commissioner McCollum?
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey?
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta?
Yes. Motion carries. We now move on to the approval of warrants. I'll now entertain a motion.
President Trombetta.
Commissioner Holmes?
I move we approve warrant number 2 of 2025 totaling $5,432,399.45, comprising the general and sewer fund payroll for January 16th, 2025 in the amount of $908,967.42, the general and sewer fund payroll for January 30th, 2025 in the amount of $827,802.11. General fund disbursements in the amount of $1,697,193.23. Sewer fund disbursements in the amount of $178,031.36. Community Development Block Grant Fund disbursement in the amount of $213,332.25. Capital Project Fund disbursements in the amount of $1,309,131.51. The American Rescue Plan Fund disbursement in the amount of $280,405.74. And a credit card statement ending January 27th, 2025 in the amount of $17,535.83.
Heard a second from a first from Commissioner Holmes. Is there a second?
Second.
Heard a motion and a second. The motion's on the table. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on the board? Hearing none.
Just as we understand from our auditor, any questions he's had have been answered to his satisfaction, and I recommend that we approve this.
Wonderful. Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. Berman, please take the roll.
Commissioner Gondik.
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart.
Yes.
Commissioner McCollum.
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes, motion carries. We now move on to the appointment of a resident to our Human Relations Commission. I'll now entertain a motion.
Madam President, I motion to table that, this particular motion at this time.
I'll second that.
Heard a motion to table in a second. I think I need to just take a voice vote, say, do we all support tabling that?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Any abstentions? Okay, motion to table carries. Thank you. We'll move on to ordinances. We have two ordinances before us this evening, beginning with the second reading of ordinance number 3012, 2025. Is there a motion?
Madam President,
Commissioner
I
Holmes.
move we adopt second reading of ordinance 3012 of 2025, pensions and employee benefits, amending ordinance 1960, adopted June 30, 1986, known as the general laws of the Township of Haverford, further amending Chapter 30, pension and employee benefits.
Heard a motion from Commissioner Holmes. Is there a second?
Second.
We've heard a first and a second. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on this board?
This is second reading. We've already discussed this, and I know our Township Finance Director has discussed it with us, so I recommend that we adopt it.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll move to the vote. Mr. Berman.
Commissioner Gondik.
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart.
Yes.
Commissioner McCollum.
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes, motion carries. I'll now entertain a motion for ordinance number P2, 2025 regarding the Stadium Shop lease agreement.
Madam President, motion to adopt the first reading of ordinance number P2 of 2025, the Stadium Shop lease agreement.
Second.
Heard a first and a second. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues regarding this motion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Mr. Berman.
Commissioner Gondik.
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart.
Yes.
Commissioner McCollum.
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes, motion carries. We now move on to resolutions. I'll entertain a motion for the first resolution, 2440, 2025.
Madam President,
Commissioner Holmes.
I move we adopt resolution number 2440 of 2025, authorizing David R. Berman to enter into a small dollar settlement agreement with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Second.
Heard a motion and a second. Motion's on the table now. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on this board? Hearing none, Mr. Berman.
Commissioner Gondik.
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart.
Yes.
Commissioner McCollum.
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes, motion carries. We'll now move on to the next resolution, 2441, 2025. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to adopt resolution 2441, 2025, adapting the amended fee schedule for 2025.
Second.
Heard a motion and a second. The motion's on the table. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on the board? Hearing none, Mr. Berman, please take the roll.
Commissioner Gondik.
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart.
Yes.
Commissioner McCollum.
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes, motion carries. Now entertain a motion for resolution number 2442-2025.
Motion to adopt resolution number 2442, 2025, approving the preliminary final subdivision and land development plan for the Jewish Student Enrichment Center for a lot consolidation and improvements, including construction of a building addition, a parking area, and stormwater management at 780 and 788 College Avenue, Haverford.
Second.
Heard a motion from Commissioner McCluskey, a second from Commissioner Gondik. The motion's on the table. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on the board?
Or just for the public's perspective, we did discuss this and a presentation was made at the work session last week where all the information was presented to this board that had been presented previously to prior committees.
Are there any further questions or comments?
If I could just get clarification just on page 4 of our resolution where there's the request for waivers. There are 5 specific requests for waivers. I understand we will be granting all of them subject to a partial waiver with regard to sidewalks. Is that correct?
This is 780 College Avenue.
Correct.
I didn't hear that question. was referred to.
Just confirming that in page 4.
Yes, the waivers
We
on
will be
page 4.
granting all the waivers 1 through 5.
Correct. If, right now, the motion would be to approve with the waivers granted. If there is any desire to address the waivers individually, that should be discussed.
So thank you for that clarification. So as is, the resolution is waivers are all granted, subject to, there is the asterisk language about the payment in lieu.
On waiver 5, that's the payment in lieu of the installation of sidewalks.
Great, thank you.
Very good. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. Berman, please take the roll.
Commissioner Gondik.
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart.
Yes.
Commissioner McCullum.
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes, motion carries. Before I entertain a motion for resolution number 2443-2025, I wanted to make a note that there's a correction that was made. Specifically, the original resolution indicated a partial waiver from the sidewalks requirement. The corrected resolution shows a full waiver from the sidewalks requirement. With that, I'll now entertain a motion for 2443-2025.
Motion to adopt resolution number 2443, 2025, approving subdivision plan for Thomas and Joanne Story for 4-lot consolidation at 30 Ellis Road, Havertown.
Is there a second?
Second.
Heard a motion from Commissioner McCluskey, a second from Commissioner Quinn. Motion's on the table. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues?
Again, as with the prior subdivision, this there was a presentation and a explanation offered to us at the work session last week for the public, just so they're aware that that information was provided at that time.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. Berman, can you please take the roll?
Commissioner Gondik.
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart. Yes. Commissioner McCullum.
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes, motion carries. I'll now entertain a motion for resolution number 2444-2025.
Madam President,
Commissioner Holmes.
I move we adopt resolution number 2444 of 2025, authorizing transfers to be made between accounts of the 2024 budget as set forth herein.
Is there a second? Heard a first from Commissioner Holmes, a second from Commissioner Gondik. The motion's on the table. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on the board? Hearing none, Mr. Berman, please take the roll.
Commissioner Gondik.
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart.
Yes.
Commissioner McCullum.
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes, motion carries. Next on the agenda, I'll hear a motion to approve 3 tax assessment appeals.
Motion to approve settlements and stipulations of council in the matter of 3 owner-initiated property tax assessment appeals for properties located at 893 Penn Street, 350 Ardmore Avenue, and 6 East Hillcrest Avenue.
A motion is for a second?
Second.
Heard a first and a second. Motion's now open for discussion. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on the board? Hearing none, Mr. Berman, please take the roll.
Commissioner Gondik.
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart.
No.
Commissioner McCullum.
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes, motion carries.
Motion to approve Pico Bryn Mawr substation agreement in lieu of zoning, SA saldo, and subdivision application approvals, Pico Bryn Mawr substation on Landover Road.
Second.
Heard a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on the board?
Somebody remind me what saldo means.
subdivision and land development.
Thank you, Mr. Berman.
Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. Berman, please take the roll.
Commissioner Gondik.
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart.
Yes.
Commissioner McCullum.
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes. Motion carries. I'll now entertain a motion for the first contract award related to the Polo Field driveway widening project.
Madam President, motion to award a contract for the Polo Field driveway widening project in the amount of $15,300 to J&J Concrete and Paving Incorporated, having the lowest responsible bid.
Is there a second?
Second.
Yeah, Quinn.
Heard a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on the board? Hearing none, Mr. Berman, please take the roll.
Commissioner Gondik.
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner
Yes.
Quinn. Commissioner Hart.
Yes.
Commissioner McCullum.
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes, motion passes. Now entertain the next motion related to police vehicle purchases.
Madam President, motion to award a purchase order to Whitmoyer Auto Group in the amount of $216,000 for 4 2024 Chevy Tahoe CK10706 four-wheel drive vehicles under the Pennsylvania CoStarz Cooperative Purchasing Program.
Second.
Heard a motion and a second. It's now open for discussion. Are there any questions or comments related to this? Hearing none, Mr. Berman, please take the roll.
Commissioner Gondik.
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart.
Yes.
Commissioner McCullum.
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes, motion passes. I'll now entertain the next motion related to Public Works purchases, one of the first of two.
Madam President,
Yes,
make a motion to award a purchase order to Hondrew Ford in the amount of $128,524 for two 2025 Ford Super Duty F-350 SRW X3B XL four-wheel drive Super Cab 8-foot box with 9-foot plow package under the Pennsylvania CoStarz Cooperative Purchasing Program.
Second.
I've heard a motion and a second. The motion's now open for discussion. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none. Mr. Berman, please take the roll.
Commissioner Gondik.
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart.
Yes.
Commissioner McCullum.
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes, motion carries. I'll now entertain a second motion for, Public Works purchase.
Madam President,
Yes.
motion to award a purchase order to Hondrew Ford in the amount of $64,262 for one 2025 Ford Super Duty F-350 SRW X3B XL, four-wheel drive Super Cab, 8-foot box with 9-foot plow package under the Pennsylvania CoStarz Cooperative Purchasing Program.
Second.
I've heard a motion from Commissioner McCollum, a second from Commissioner Hart. Motion's now open for discussion. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on the board? Hearing none. Mr. Berman, please take the roll.
Commissioner Gondik.
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart.
Yes.
Commissioner McCullum.
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes. Motion carries. Realizing my agenda is a little different, I think there might be a third.
Yes.
There is.
Madam
Thank you.
President.
Commissioner McCollum.
Motion to award a purchase order to Foley Incorporated in the amount of $22,975 for one 2025 Tink Claw Leaf attachment for the Cat 938 loader under the Pennsylvania CoStarz Cooperative Purchasing Program.
Second.
Heard a motion from Commissioner McCollum, a second from Commissioner Hart. Motion's now open for discussion. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on the board? Hearing none. Mr. Berman, please take the roll.
Commissioner Gondik.
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart.
Yes.
Commissioner McCullum.
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes. Motion carries. Now entertain the next motion regarding a professional services contract with Gallagher Benefit Services.
Madam President,
Yes, Commissioner Holmes.
I move we award a professional services contract to Gallagher Benefit Services, Inc. in the amount of $13,200 for GASB 75 retiree health plan valuation for the fiscal years ending December 31st, 2024 and December 31st, 2025.
Second.
Heard a motion from Commissioner Holmes, a second from Commissioner Gondek. The motion is now open for discussion. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on the board? Hearing none. Mr. Berman, please take the roll.
Commissioner Gondek.
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart.
Yes.
Commissioner McCullum.
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes, motion carries. I'll now entertain the next motion.
Madam President,
Yes, Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
motion to approve a no-cost change order with Rycon Construction Incorporated, the general contractor for the Haverford Township Free Library renovation and expansion project.
Second.
Heard a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on the board regarding this?
Just a quick one. This is we're motioning to approve the extension of the deadline by, I think, like 3 weeks, correct? That's this specific one? Okay. So
That's
make sure.
correct.
Just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
And as a follow-up, it will not delay the reopening of our expanded and renovated library. So this is not going to delay us in any way to getting our library back in service for our community.
Thank you for that.
Sure.
Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. Berman, please take the roll.
Commissioner Gondek.
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart.
Yes.
Commissioner McCullum.
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes, motion carries. I'll now entertain the next motion regarding a purchase order to Applied Video Technologies.
Madam President,
Yes, Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
motion to award a purchase order in the amount of $67,661.78 to Applied Video Technologies Incorporated for network equipment at the Haverford Township Free Library renovation and expansion project, utilizing the Pennsylvania CoStar's Cooperative Purchasing Agreement.
Is there a second?
Second.
Heard a motion from Commissioner Forresty Grubb, a second from Commissioner McCluskey. Motion's open for discussion now. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on the board? Hearing none, Mr. Berman.
Commissioner Gondek.
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart.
Yes.
Commissioner McCullum.
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes. I'll now entertain the final motion related to a professional service contract.
Madam President,
Yes, Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
motion to award a professional service contract in the amount of $20,451 to SpiderNet Technical Consulting for the IT services at the Haverford Township Free Library renovation and expansion project.
Second.
Thank you. I've heard a motion from Commissioner Forresty Grubb, a second from Commissioner Quinn. The motion's now open for discussion. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on the board? None. Mr. Berman, please take the roll.
Commissioner Gondek.
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart.
Yes.
Commissioner McCullum.
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes, motion carries. We'll now continue with our citizens forum, providing an opportunity for any member of the public who wishes to address the board. Kindly again ask that you keep your remarks to approximately 3 minutes and ask any questions or provide any comments that you have during that time. Is there anybody on the left-hand side who'd like to make comment? Yes.
Evening.
Evening.
My name's Dory Dowdy. I live on Rosewood Lane in Haverford Township, 6th Ward. Just 3 things. At the end of the last week's working session, I had come up and asked just for the timeline that seemed to be missing, the 45-day minimum days to review when the updated comprehensive plan was going to come out. I just wanted to kind of state this out loud because it was after the meeting. It wasn't on recording. I didn't see it on the listing from the 29th. Review that were the community meeting we had. So after the update for the comprehensive plan is done, then we'll have a minimum of 45 days to review. So we're all in agreement with that?
That's correct.
Okay, great, okay. And then, and thanks for providing that community meeting that we held 2 weeks ago. But I would like to request for the next time that we're going to go through that, if we do have one, that it was nice for us to be able to express what we had, comments, questions, observations. But I felt as though there was a part that was missing, that we didn't have anything coming back to us. I may have been a meeting that would have gone to midnight, I think, for everything that we had questions about. But it would be nice to have an interaction in some way, because it just felt like an outgoing, and I appreciated, hearing other people's comments too. It's not that, but I think coming back to us to answer questions. And then the presentation of the plan, it would be good if we could go through sections, just because it is not really easily digestible, to be honest with you. I'm not someone who's in that field, and some sections of it were a little difficult for me to, really understand. And I know other people went up to the podium that day when you had that meeting, and they said, well, I don't really know what's going on. It's really kind of not easy to digest. So that was the second thing. And then, Mr. Holmes, I was wondering if a date had been picked for the Ward 5 and 6 meeting that you guys were going to have.
It's not.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I think
Just
we
checking.
are still shooting for, no, I appreciate that. What's that? Oh, right out.
I'd please
When I
like
get
to
the-
refrain from back and forth, but I will ask.
He did ask, he did start speaking, so sorry,
Nope, that's
okay.
fair.
Okay, sorry. So
Thank
that's the
you.
answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm in the doghouse now.
Hi,
Good evening.
I'm Mac Wagner, Rosewood Lane. As you all know, since I've been up here before, I've tried to follow what's happening with the comprehensive plan since it was released in 2019. I had nothing to do with it prior to that. Meetings occurred with the Planning Commission, and I went to most of them. We were told to stay involved. I tried unsuccessfully since, as you know, it went dark. 2 years while being in the finishing and polishing committee. And we were encouraged to stay involved by the Planning Commission, but that was not appropriate. So now we have the 2024 Comprehensive Plan released, I believe, December 19th, the Friday before Christmas, to be reviewed for 45 days. There wasn't any warning that it was being released. Seems a little shady. A public meeting on the 3rd of February, and a vote by the Board of Commissioners. This was the initial plan. I know it's changed since then. Yes, you have revised it. But now you're telling us multiple errors in the 2024 plan. Seriously. It was dark. It was in a polishing and finishing committee for 2 years. Then you release it on a Friday before Christmas, and we have 45 days to review it until the whole plan is changed. I just want you to know, you need to earn my trust, because this is horrible. And I hope, seriously hope, that the citizens of Haverford Township will hold you to a higher standard. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wagner. Mr. Lee.
Hi, my name's Michael Lee. I live on Fairlamb Avenue in Haverford Township. My notes just went awry. There's a couple of things that I found from reading the Haverford 2035 and the other plans, and that is that the township is completely built out. We have much less park space even than other neighboring townships. It's just, and the other thing I learned is that people really like living here. They're not moving out, the incomes are high, people just like it here. So, but what I hear is that I think that residents don't really know what you want to do. It sounds like you want to increase tax revenue and have a whole lot more residents. And the biggest issue that I hear in the township is congestion. It's in the big survey that we did. I think 3,500 people responded to it. Number one item. So, and the other thing is, from my viewpoint, most residents, I don't think, even know about this plan. So what we really need is a comprehensive plan to get the word out about this so people can see it. And so we just have a successful township. We really do. And any changes, we should really think long and hard about making. I think you're just going to mess the township up by adding a whole much more congestion in the areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Anybody else on the left-hand side? Hearing none. On the right-hand side? Yes. Ms. Goldberg. Hi.
This was a snappy meeting. I also have a question about the comprehensive plan. I was sort of hoping that we were going to get an update about the expected timing, and specifically I thought we might hear from the township about when we would get a corrected version of the draft, right? Because as I understand it right now, we're in the phase where the public is supposed to be reviewing it. I'm frankly, I'm very grateful to the board for doing this work. I think it's a really important project. I'm overall, have read it, but I'm sympathetic to my fellow citizens who find it difficult to review it because we've been told that there are errors, but we don't know what they are exactly, and so we don't know how to look at the future land use plan at this point and provide useful feedback to you, quite honestly. So I would like to have the township make the corrections that it knows need to be made, right? The township told us that it knows there are some errors. I would like to have the township make those corrections and then send out the draft again with the understanding that you're still collecting citizen feedback and that there will be another set of revisions once we have all had our say. But I find it really difficult to explain to my friends and neighbors what's in the plan, and I think a lot of people are worried about things that the township has said, don't worry about that, that was an error. So it would just save us, it would be a more efficient review process for the citizens and maybe kind of head off some of the misinformation and fear that's going around if we just had a corrected plan to review.
Thank you.
Ms. Goldberg, would you identify yourself for the record?
I'm so sorry. I am Liz Goldberg. I'm at 2424 Winfield Drive in the 6th Ward.
Thank you. Any further comments from the right-hand side? Hearing none, I now open the floor up to my colleagues who wish to address any remarks or questions brought before us during the citizens forum. But first, I will ask our township manager to respond related to the points raised related to the comprehensive plan and the timing.
So very briefly, we have received a ton of comments, and really we want to incorporate the comments that we've received, the corrections that we know we need to make, and we'd like to get a comprehensive plan that is comprehensive, not just fixing the map errors that we talked about previously, and not just fixing a couple of things that were in the text that need to be corrected. We want to get it done, and we want to get something accurate back to everybody, and we have to do so carefully. The maps are with a consultant. They're currently being redrafted to make sure that they correctly reflect what we talked about at our last meeting. And the text is going to take a little bit longer to rewrite. There are a number of things that need to be corrected. It's not overwhelming, but it's a process that we want to go through, and we don't want to foul it up again from the staff level. And so we'd like to get that back to the community. Once we put that out, it's, as I said to Mrs. Dowdy, it'll be at least 45 days. So there'll be an opportunity to provide public input. And once the board is satisfied, and only then will we advertise for that public hearing that would ultimately be in a finished, in a finished product that the board would be willing to consider.
Thank you, Mr. Berman. Any further comments from my colleagues?
Just that Commissioner Cavender and I plan to hold that meeting, so we were going to talk about it tonight. But Commissioner Cavender was not able to be here this evening. So I suspect we will try to do it the last week of February or the first week of March. Our goal would be to have it as close to the redistribution of the plan. It might make more sense for us to do it after the plan is put back up on the website, and then we'll hold that meeting. We'll hold that meeting here.
Thank you. Anyone else? So we'll now move on to new business. Are there any matters my colleagues wish to bring forward to the board tonight? Your new business. Hearing none, we'll move on to the other business portion of our meeting, during which commissioners may make their final remarks. So we'll start with Commissioner Gondek.
Thank you. Keep it very short and sweet. Congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles on their Super Bowl victory. I hope that it was a great game to watch. It's nice to watch the Eagles win in not nail-biting fashion. That being said, I hope that it sounds like the parade's probably going to be on Friday down in the city. I hope everyone who's able to participate participates, but does so in a calm and orderly fashion, and we kind of keep things on the more law-abiding side. That being said, with the weather coming up, just please be careful with the ice and any kind of bad weather coming along, and to the extent that you can move your cars or any other of your vehicles into your driveways. Public Works does greatly appreciate that. It does help them clear the streets. And that's it. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Congratulations to the Eagles, and I'm sure all those students who are going to have a day off of school will certainly enjoy the celebrations. It doesn't happen very often, and it's nice for the whole city. I would like to read a brief quotation by Martin Luther King Jr. from his 1965 remarks at Oberlin College. He said, "We must all learn to live together as brothers, or we will all perish together as fools. We are tied together in the single garment of destiny, caught in an unescapable network of mutuality, and whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly." We here at Haverford Township, I think we're really blessed. I'm really blessed to be on this Board of Commissioners, where we all work together as metaphoric brothers for the betterment of the residents of the township. I also feel like we are blessed in the township to have such devoted public servants who keep us safe, who come in, who volunteer their time to fight fires, who make sure that our streets are clear from snow. All the people in the finance office and human relations, we're very lucky to have such a devoted workforce, and I want to thank them. I would also urge those serving in other levels of government that they take a look at what goes on in the local government. We are closest to you. You can come to us and talk to us and ask us questions and voice your concerns directly to us. You don't have to make appointments. You don't have to try calling some office and maybe hope somebody picks up. We are all here as local officials. And I would urge other members of the government to take every local official as a model, because we are all engaged in the business of safeguarding the lives, the liberty, and the rights of every citizen as laid out in our Constitution. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Forresty Grubb. Commissioner Holmes.
I'm also going to quote Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "Even if I knew the world would end tomorrow, I would continue to plant apple trees today." I bring that up because someone stood before us this evening who does that every day, our celebrated Teacher of the Year, Mr. Smith. He stands as a representative of everybody who teaches at every level. It is, as I mentioned in my comments, an extraordinary act of optimism, and the patience and the self-confidence necessary to teach and know that you may never know the fruits of your labor, but you just count on it and hope one day somebody comes back and tells you the effect you had. to do that every day is it takes people with a gift to do it. And I consider it no less service than people who serve their countries who are act as first responders. So just want to thank Mr. Smith and the school district to give us the opportunity and the privilege to commemorate and to celebrate his achievement, his recognition. And I would remind all of my colleagues that to live by those words, even if we knew or thought the world would end tomorrow, we continue to plant our apple trees today. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Holmes. Commissioner Quinn.
I don't have anything except to say congrats to the Eagles, and we heard a lot about the 3-3-peat, so it was great that we denied the Chiefs that, and the Eagles will be the one to get the 3-peat, so that's all.
Thank you, Commissioner Quinn. Commissioner Hart.
Commissioner Gondek reminded us in his fire report that the fire departments were out there last night helping with a serious accident. It's a reminder to all of us to pay our dues to these all-volunteer fire departments who are on call 24 hours a day. So please get your dues in.
Thank you, Commissioner Hart. Commissioner McCollum.
It's just three quick things. Number one, Monday is President's Day, so there'll be no brush collection in the township. The next thing I stumbled upon today on the website, I thought it'd be a really good message to get out to the public, especially for the youth. It's the Haverford Township Police Department's Cop Camp. It's for 10 and 11-year-old boys and girls. If any residents are interested in sending their child to this summer, it's a 3-day program. You can contact Lieutenant James Kelly. The information is on the website. The last thing I have is just wish Commissioner Quinn a happy 40th belated birthday yesterday. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner McCollum. Commissioner McCluskey.
When I was 10 or 11 years old, if you would have told me the Eagles would win 2 Super Bowls in 7 years and be to a third, I would probably doubt you, but I would be over the moon and certainly excited to have a microphone to talk about it. But I'm not going to bore you all with all the hopes of a young kid, but certainly is a different world for a Philadelphia sports fan. And I was driving home from a Super Bowl party last night with my 2 girls, and we drove by Brookline Boulevard, and the police had it blocked off, and people were celebrating, and then there was people just wandering up and down Darby Road going to Brookline or some at the corner of Darby and Eagle. Sports, there's lots of problems with sports, but sports at its best is something that brings a community together to community pride, common goals, things that we can all get behind. And yesterday, was the best of what sports can provide for our community. As you walked around town, as you walked in and out of Wawa, as you just went about your daily routine. And hopefully we can hold on to some of that. I've said at these meetings a couple times that there really are a lot of great things that are happening in Haverford Township. We'll have some challenges in the years ahead. We'll have some change that inevitably comes to this country, that comes to this community, and we'll get through everything and anything together. And that's what we can learn from the exuberance of yesterday. So go Birds, and thanks for your time.
I think that was a perfect conclusion to our meeting, so thank you. I have no further comments. Are there any final comments from my colleagues on this board?
If I may, I literally just got an update a moment ago.
Okay.
Just by way of public announcement for anyone in the Westgate Hills area. The Westgate Hills Civic Association is going to be holding their quarterly meeting on February 19th at 6:30 p.m. at St. Matthew's Church, which is on Glengarry, right at the entrance to the Westgate neighborhoods. They're always looking for more people to come out and new people to come out and participate. So if you're able to attend, please do.
Thank you. Commissioner McCluskey, would you repeat what you just said then?
Well, no, I will just say for the record,
No.
and I think it is important that while I respect the Westgate meeting, that if we're at the end, the final words on the day after an Eagles Super Bowl victory should be Go Birds. Right?
Go Birds. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you all. Meeting's adjourned.